Welcome to Mind Force. I'm your host, Nate Shear, and this is the show where love, life, and learning come together. Your mind is what matters most here. Today we have Velma Gentzsch, a.k.a. Mama Mavel, and today we will be talking about the importance of connecting with your children, what's good about video games, and how video games can bring you closer to your kids. So, Mama Mavel, we're going to start with the warm-up, the who, what, and why. Who are you? What do you do? And why are you here?
All right. Well, it's good to be here with you. Thank you so much. I appreciate your flexibility in having to reschedule it because of life events the last couple of times. So thank you.
Life is crazy.
Life can be crazy. So I am Velma Gentzsch, and I am a mom. That's one of the things I am. My kid is 14, and I help parents connect with their kids through video games because that was not something that I got and my kid taught me. I wasn't a video game person and very screen skeptical, and that's not my kid. He is a little tech genius, and I'm like, I don't want to be replaced by pixels, so I'm going to go in here with him. And I was astonished by everything that I learned and how much fun that we've got to have since then.
That's
so that was
awesome.
The who and the what. I think that's the why. I think that's all.
Why? Yeah, helping people. Yeah. And I think that's a really good reminder of meeting people where they're at. I mean, if we're talking about work or relationships or whatever it is, I mean, we probably say it, but actually following through and meeting the person where they're at is really important. So before we get into your warm-up, I wanted to see if you had a question for me.
Well, I'm assuming you have kids. Is that true?
I do, yeah, 3.
3 kids. Ooh, what are their ages?
Yeah. 11, 10, and 6.
If you're willing to say. 9, 10, and 6?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so 2 girls, a boy. Boy's at the bottom. He's getting beat up by his 2 older sisters. Not beat up physically, but bullied, I guess.
Okay, so you said 10, 9, and 6. Is that right?
11, 10, and 6.
11, 10, and 6. Okay. Do they play video games?
They do, yeah. Trying to get my son more involved in, doing some of the stuff with the Switch and things like that. I was trying to show him. We just moved to the UK, and so you find stuff, from the move and whatnot. So I just found the Game Boy Color. I was trying to show him. He's like, the screen's small and this, it's just funny. So he primarily plays on the Switch. And what's really cool right now is he's connecting things from different medias, which I think is really cool. So he's been watching Pokemon quite a bit. And so now he gets to jump on and play and see the characters that he interacts with. And so he went to the Scholastic Book Fair. We love the book fair. And so he has an encyclopedia of all the Pokemon. And so I just think it's so cool across the medias. He's reading and, we do like 30 minutes to an hour of reading when they get home from school. So he's doing that and he's switching over between the screens and the books and it all comes together. So it's like the whole universe. Pretty cool.
That's very cool. So my real question is, tell me something that you're really proud of in your parenting of your kids.
Something I'm really proud of.
Like, give me a brag or just something going really well.
I think one thing that I've worked on a lot, and I think I do a much better job than I did as a younger person, is I struggled a lot with impatience and anger and things like that. And so actually I have a tattoo representing that, the yin and yang of like water and fire. My mom said if I got any, they had to be important and meaningful. So it's like the thing where I was really frustrated and I had a lot of emotions that went in different directions. And so I think that's one thing I've worked on, slowing down and, figuring out what's going on with the kids and, trying to help them process emotions. And so I think, while having kids, it helps you learn and fix some of the things in yourself as well. Because when you get frustrated and then they're frustrated, nothing gets any better. And so it's one of those things, like it does help, you fix some stuff. So I think I do a much better job always working on things. Don't want to say it's all squared away. But now being 36 as opposed to, like 18 to, 25, I'm way slower and calmer and patient. And I think that a lot of that was processed through the kids.
Yeah, nice. Kids are our greatest teachers. At least my kid has
Mm.
been my greatest teacher. And it has showed me all the ways that I was not able to show up how I wanted to, and it inspired me to go do the work on myself so that I could show up for him how I wanted to.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. You're a big mirror, I guess, so just showing you what's going on right in your face.
yeah, huge. Like yes.
Billboard of mirrors.
Yep. Yeah.
So the first fun question I got for you, if you could live in any video game world for a day, which world would it be and why?
Oh. Oh. Mm. I would probably like there's some really gorgeous video games out there. Like and most of them I have not played. I just see them and I'm like, wow, that's so pretty. Like Genshin Impact is gorgeous.
Mm,
I haven't played it, but it's gorgeous, and I kind of want to play it just because it's so pretty. But
yeah.
if I could live in a video game for a day, I would probably live in Minecraft because
Mm.
that's the one I have the most experience with. And like, I think I would probably want it to be in a creative world Minecraft and not a survival world Minecraft because I wouldn't last the full day in a survival world Minecraft. But
No zombies.
zombies are fine and creative or peaceful. It's okay. But
That makes sense. I think that's probably the best option, right? Creating stuff, making stuff. That's a good
yeah.
one.
Yeah, but I'd want to bring my kid with me because like his imagination is, I don't know, it blows me away the things he wants to create. And I would probably just make a farm. That's just what I usually do is just make a farm. But like, yeah. So I would want to
That's
go there with
awesome.
him. And not
Okay.
just that. I would want to go to the Mama Mavel biome for my birthday this year. My kid made me
Mm.
my own Minecraft instance with the Mama Mavel biome in it, which is like all my favorite colors and like my favorite like village types. So that's where I would want to go.
Oh, there it is. That makes sense. Built just for you.
Built
And then the other
just for
question
me.
I had is if parenting came with a power up from a video
Oh.
game, what would it be and why? That's
Okay,
tough.
I just want to say these are great questions. So awesome. That's so fun.
Yeah, gotta have some
Oh.
fun.
Um okay, the one that I wish for the most when I'm playing all the video games is just to like lay on the bed in Minecraft and it just becomes morning. It's like not that it's like and you just have all the energy that you had before. It's like how
Okay, so
amazing would that be?
little time control.
Yeah, a little like time. It's not exactly a power up, but it's a video game feature that I like really love. It's like if we could
I
all
like
just
that. I like that. In Zelda, you sit by the fire and then you can pick what time you want to go to or whatnot to get to certain things. Yeah, that's a good one. Okay, so we'll move into laying the foundation. So the first thing we got up on the docket is importance of connecting with your kid. So what's been the most important lesson you've learned about building a strong connection with your child?
oh, the most important lesson in building a strong connection with my child. Well, um, it's more, a, it's about what he needs, not necessarily what I need.
Mm,
It's about how he needs to connect in that moment and not like my idea of what he should have or do or need or be to connect in that moment.
yeah,
So
that
it's
makes
about
sense.
being present with him instead of having my own preconceived notions or expectations or ideas about how it should be done. Because my kid is unique, your kid is unique. And the most important tool for being able to connect with them is just being available and open and accepting of who they are in that moment.
Kind of reminds me of the love languages, like the way you put stuff out into the world and how you connect with people and things like that. Sometimes you want to do it the way that you either have been raised or you receive it. And I know some people don't necessarily agree with the book, but just that general thing of like stopping and thinking about what the other person needs as opposed to what you need, or like you said, what you believe is fixing. Like, oh, I'm doing all these chores for them, and they're like, they don't care about chores, so you need to do something else.
Exactly. And with parenting, like a lot of parents who want to be good parents read a lot of books, and in the books it says do this and do this and do this. And like those are really good ideas, but they may or may not work for you and your kid, or they may need some kind of tweaks or something to make it so that it's useful. So there's like the ways that we were brought up, but then there's also almost like the shoulds that we invite from trying to do the good parenting thing. Sorry. Hey, how about that?
That's always super funny to me too, because like when people are about to have kids or whatnot, they're like, oh, do you have any tips? Do you have any advice? Like, no. Like, there's no handbook, there's no specific way. Like, try your best. You won't really know until they're like 20 and they become hopefully a good member of society or not, but like you really don't know. But it's just so comical to me because, like, to your point, like the now and before, I just remember like you're supposed to wrap them up, you're not supposed to wrap them up, you're supposed to put them on their side, no, their back, you're supposed to give them chocolate, no chocolate. And like, even for us, like, red wine's good one year and red wine's bad the next year. I'm like, what is going on? So it's just like, try your best at whatever works, as long as you're not, jacking it up too bad, I think you'll be okay.
Yeah. Here's the thing. This is what I always tell myself and tell the other parents is that, like, if you are trying, if you are aspiring to be a good parent to your kid, then you are a good parent to your kid. Because you're
already starting, right?
You are putting in your best effort already.
You already care.
You already care, and that is the baseline.
So I wanted to ask one question, hopefully not too personal. Don't want to get too deep, but I was curious, the early parenting journey you had and your experience with the trauma at the NICU, how did that shape your importance on wanting to have a connection?
Well, the importance of wanting to have a connection actually started way before that. It started with my childhood. I had a very chaotic childhood with, like, my first year of life was very chaotic. And the same with my then husband. Like, his first year was very chaotic. So, like, I came into parenting, like, wanting to be that attached parent, that person who was just there. So I had this, like, super mom, like, syndrome. That's what I like to call it. It's like, I am going to do all the things. And the role of NICU, and it's not too personal a question. Like, it's important for us to be able to talk about these things. So the role of NICU, it's like NICU, like, okay, so first of all, birth is a big experience anyway. You add in NICU or any kind of hospital experience usually, and like that's a traumatic thing. And like a baby comes into this world and they expect to, like, be held and be, like, with the person that they've been with. And in a NICU experience, they're taken from that person. They're put in a plastic box and they're stuck and, like, poked and stickered. And I did not leave NICU for a week. I stayed with my kid. I did not look out a window for a week because I wanted to be there. And like, it was a really challenging start to motherhood and a really challenging start to life for my kid. And it set us up for me with extreme fatigue. And it set him up for extreme separation anxiety. And over the years, especially like his first 3 years, I was able to kind of piece together like some of his responses to life and eventually connected them back to, oh, he was, for example, he was terrified of Band-Aids for up until he was about 3. And what happened at 3, like between 2 and 3, is like, oh, he's scared of sticky things because he had the sticky things, the little sensors, 4 of them on his chest. And he associated that sticky stuff with like early life and like that hard experience. So I stocked up on Band-Aids and we played with Band-Aids until it was not a traumatic thing. Like I let him put Band-Aids on me all the time because like that was a scary thing. And like it was a way for us to play with the hard experience to allow it to transform.
Yeah, that makes sense. One thing I think that's just crazy is the amount of the line of code of DNA that goes into a baby and like all the, things that have to line up perfectly. I think, modern medicine and whatnot, we've kind of almost gotten used to like, oh, everything should be fine every time. But there is so much that has to turn out perfect. So my first daughter, she was born with a mole on her eye, for lack of a better term. And so when she was 6 months old, she had to go under anesthetic and, a tiny baby. You just don't want to see them, like to your point, at the hospital. It's a baby going under. It just feels wrong. But they have to cut it off so that it doesn't continue to grow and shape, because it would have continued to shape the concave of her eye. It would have turned, more into a football than a beach ball. And so it would have had more of an astigmatism and more troubles down the road. So, everything for the most part, 99.9% of her code was like perfect. But there's one thing, the mole on her eye. So there's just so much that has to line up to be perfect. And I think we sometimes kind of forget like, oh no, it should be in and out and it's no big deal. Like, no, it's a massive experience and, millions of data, points of code that have to all line up. And so one other thing I wanted to touch on is it's interesting to me, like how you're raised and whatnot does shape you. And so like it was me and my mom kind of against the world. And so my mom got remarried and I have siblings. And sometimes like I get the jab or kind of get poked fun of, like I'm the favorite and, these different things. When I come home, mom's like, but we have a different bond and relationship where it was me, we were on food stamps, we were in apartments, we were trying to get through it. Like I didn't act up as much as, later on maybe, because like I knew that we needed to be in it together. Like it was us against the world. There was no like option. So one story I like to share because it's just awesome of my mom. I got my tonsils out when I was 3 years old because they were the size of golf balls and I couldn't breathe. Decided to go in and get those removed. And so all you can do when you're, a kid is you want to like watch TV, and I had to eat popsicles because my throat was all messed up.
Yeah.
So we were in a small apartment and it was 2 stories and the bed was in one room or one floor and then the TV was in another. So my mom dragged the mattress from one story down to the other so I could just sit there, veg out, watch TV, and eat the popsicles. I'm like, so in my mind, like my mom is my hero and she's my connection and that bond. So sometimes it is a little frustrating. Like, oh, favorite and those different things. It's like, haha, but it's like, you just can't have that same thing. There's no way.
Yeah. Sounds like she was a really, really amazing mom.
Yeah, she is wonderful. I can't wait for her to come out and visit.
Yay. Oh, good.
Yay. Next summer, we got to figure out the visa stuff, the UK. The next question I had for you is, what's one small but powerful way you found to bond with your child during life's busiest moments?
Okay. So when my kid was 18 months old, I found Hand in Hand Parenting, which is a nonprofit based in the States that has international reach. It has trained instructors all over the world, and it teaches 5 simple connection tools. And there's one tool that is my go-to no matter what. And even when life is chaotic and crazy, I would always make time to do this with my kid. And it's called special time. And that is where I would set a timer. And sometimes it would be 3 minutes. Sometimes it would be 15 minutes. Sometimes it would be half an hour, depending on whatever is happening in life. And for that amount of time, I would say, when he was little, I would say, hey, do you want some special time? And he'd be, yeah. And we'd set the timer. And during special time, it's like, I get to do and be enthusiastic and just love the hell out of my kid. And just pour my attention and warmth onto him. And we would do that every day before school, because it helped set him up for going into the day full, with a full bucket, knowing that I loved him and he could, in a way that he could feel it. And
you had that dedicated time.
And sometimes literally it was 3 minutes, and sometimes like it was 5 minutes, but I would set myself up so that I could always be sure to do that on some level with him. And he's 14 now. And when kids get older, things shift. We don't have announced special time every day anymore. But most mornings before school, he still wants to come hang out with me and like show me stuff he's working on, or tell me like the cool thing that he built in Minecraft, or what he's like doing on his laptop. So like that is the foundation that even during the craziest times has sustained us.
And that's because you laid the foundation and you built that muscle memory and whatnot. That's amazing. It reminds me an episode, I just mentioned it. I think I've mentioned it on the show a couple times, but I just love it. But I think it was the guy from the CEO of Southwest. He was talking about how you can find somebody's true priorities, because you ask people their priorities, they're like, yeah, this or that. He's like, check their calendar and their checkbook. So if you're intentional and you actually care, you'll put the money in and you'll block the time. Because sometimes we say like, you know, oh, you can talk to me anytime, or you can do this. Or I know in the military, we love the open door policy. You can swing by anytime. But it's different when it's intentional and the time is blocked. If I know the time is blocked, like I can go to you, but it's just a different feeling of connection and whatnot if you are, you know, blocking the time. And I think it's pretty amazing. I'm glad you mentioned the 3 minutes. Like it's 3 minutes. Like even that, you know, dedicated time where you are there in the presence of that person. I saw something somewhere where it was like the parent was getting pulled to all these different rooms and doing all these different things. And it's like, why am I having to do all these different things? And like, ultimately you are the toy in essence. Like it's you, they want to spend their time in connection with you. So it doesn't matter that you're, you know, doing this in this room and reading here. And then he's like, I forgot. I wish I remember what it was, but it was a dad, I think. He's like, I'm being pulled from all these different things. It's like, you're the thing, actually. Like you're the thing that they want, not the book or the toy or whatever it is. So
absolutely. They
important.
Want our attention. They want our attention more than anything. And like, I don't know, one of my favorite brags is that my 14-year-old still wants my attention. He's like, Mom, hey, look, Mom. I'm like,
yeah,
okay.
There's that famous quote, when like people stop bringing you problems, you've completely lost them. And I think it's that same thing. Like if they won't come to you and talk to you and have that conversation, then like you're you're kind of past the point. I mean, I'm sure you could rekindle and things like that, but if they don't want to talk, then, that connection's gone, which I think leads us into the next thing. So the next thing is the good in video games, which I think this will be pretty fun. So what was your initial perspective? I think you touched on it very briefly on video
Yeah.
games and how has it changed now?
Okay.
So you weren't really into them.
No. Well, we can start with like, okay, I'm a new mom. I'm in San Francisco or Oakland, the Bay Area. And like, I lend towards like, I have a history in environmental nonprofit work. So I lend towards like the hippie side of things. And, it's like not too big into like screens. It's like, we're not supposed to have screens for a kid. So his early years, but I was also like, didn't have any family, didn't have a lot of support. Was a stay-at-home mom doing most of it myself. And I'm like, okay, iPad is kind of my village. But it was very curated and it was still monitored. Very, very, very monitored and limited. Limited. It's like, okay, I need to like think about something for 15 minutes. Here is a screen. So that's where we started. And as everything shifted at about 8. 8 was when we got into Minecraft. Because his friends at school were into Minecraft. And what they played on the playground was Minecraft. And I'm like, okay, I don't want to be one of those. I don't want my kid to be one of those kids who has absolutely no reference to pop culture or anything. And it's just like kind of an outcast because he's just, I've sheltered him from all of it. So I'm like, okay, let's check out Minecraft so you have some idea of what the heck is going on here. So we got into Minecraft and he really loved it. And I did not get it at all. I'm like, this is ugly. This is boring. But fine. Okay. I'm here for it. So special time. This is like, that building that muscle of special time was good for me because I knew how to come to him and go, okay, I'm here. And I am like genuinely curious about what you're doing. So I was able to bring that curiosity and that assumption that what he's interested in is good to that video gaming experience. And so fast forward 2 more years, he's really, really into Minecraft. It's 2020. He's 10. It's pandemic. We're out in the country. There's no one for him to play with. And he's like, Mom, will you play with me? And I'm like, okay. And this is where it got really, really hard because I suck at video games.
You got to start somewhere.
I know. Like I didn't grow up with them. So like, it's not a thing that these fingers naturally know how to do. And, we would argue. He would get frustrated with me because I was so bad at it. And I would get frustrated with myself because I was so bad at it. But I wanted to stay in it with my kids, so I stayed in it with my kid. And that was a period of time where it was him and me. Kind of like you and your mom. It was him and I, and like we were it. We were what we had. Well, we also had that in 7 cats, but they don't play Minecraft.
The cats weren't picking up the controllers.
No, they weren't. And eventually I got better. And eventually it became fun. And you talk about resilience. Like video games taught me resilience. And I realized that they taught my kid resilience, because video games aren't about winning. They're actually about losing and losing and losing and losing and starting over and over and over again.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of important lessons that are learned. It's interesting because people, see the people that sit in their room and they, for some reason, just highlight all the negative aspects of it. Like, oh, you sit in there and you're a loner and this and that. But I think there's an important element of that fortitude and things like that, wanting to beat the levels and push on, and dedication. Because when you get into school, like college and things like that, like through high school, maybe you're getting help and assistance. So once you're getting like college or even, for work, like no one's going to help you or hold your hand. They're like, oh, you'll figure it out. So critical thinking and trying to push through some of those things, because almost all games have some level of puzzle or something where you got to think through it and use those critical thinking skills. It's not, straightforward and right there. Maybe like Goat
Exactly.
Simulator, maybe not so much, but
A Power Wash Simulator is pretty straightforward, but Minecraft requires a lot of project planning. Like, if you want to build a redstone contraption, you have to do a whole heck of a lot to gather your resources to do that thing. So,
yeah,
like,
absolutely.
that's a really cool benefit of video games.
So as he progressed through, like, how did you, I think, you touched on it, but briefly, but can you expand on like what he had access to and for how long? And, I'd like, kind of curious, not to go like negative, but I know with my family, we, we're a little freaked out with like Roblox and some other things because of the chat function and like people being inappropriate and things on there. So we love like the ability to play games and be creative. But what do you have in like the more cautionary side, I guess?
Okay. Well, yes, this is a great question and something very, very common from parents. And I will say there are the standard parental controls. And you can use those, but as your kid gets older, they'll all be able to work around them. So that's not the answer. The answer is actually that connection. That's one of the reasons why connection is so important. The more you are able to join your kid in their world, to learn about what they love, we want them to feel supported and like welcome to come to you. That connection, that being welcome to come to you when something's weird, when something's off, when something doesn't fit right or feel right, come to you for help without feeling like they're going to be judged or shamed. That is the most important thing that we can do to protect our kids. So you do need to have conversations that are like, these are the things that are not okay on video games. These are the things that if they happen, like, I want you to know that it's like not acceptable for other people to be behaving this way. And if that happens, I want to be able to help you.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think that goes back to what we just said, like being able to bring the problems to you. If you have the connection, they can have that conversation and bring stuff up to you. Yeah, that makes sense. So for people that are out there that, don't like maybe the specific same type of games or things like that, what do you have for, finding the common ground? Do you guys both play like your individual thing? Do you guys do more co-op, or is it just, I guess, case by case on what works for people and their families?
It's definitely case by case. Like, and this is where like that, I love the idea of experimentation. Like, parenting is a big experiment. Like, try something on and see if it works. So the first step is to be curious about what they're interested in and join them if you can. But another thing to know is that like joining them sometimes looks like just watching them play. Sometimes it looks like watching a YouTube video of somebody else play. And that is playing because that's how they learn.
Mm.
That's how they learn and get ideas for new things to do in the game. Because video games don't come with instructions either.
We used to get the books back in the day. I don't think they do
I
the guidebooks
know.
anymore, do they?
They don't.
Oh,
So,
we just got rid of paper.
I know. Well, they replaced it with YouTube.
Yeah, I guess that's what switched
Um,
out.
and then, okay, and so my kid, he plays a lot of games that are like solo kind of games, and like No Man's Sky, or I just watch him play that. And then there's one
Mm.
game, I forget the name of it, where he's driving the mouse, but like we're playing it together because I'm like, oh, hey, let's go check out that thing over there. And we're solving the puzzles together. But he's the
Oh,
one with the mouse. So that's another way to play. And then
have you
another way to play
have you
is
played?
go ahead.
Oh, have you played It Takes Two?
Yes,
It
that's
Takes
so
Two?
fun. I'm playing that with my partner right now.
Oh, that's a great one.
It is a great
uh,
one. I want to do that with my kid at some point. Um,
frustrating, but a good one. What's the one where you cook food? I just lose that one. You
well,
gotta
there's
serve the
Dave's
food and you shoot
Diner.
around. Oh no, that's gonna bug me now. I'll come back, but we've
Well,
played it
let
a
me
couple
know.
times and we only make it, I think, like 30 minutes and we have to quit because everyone's got a different theory on what should be happening at any given time. Oh,
Well,
what is
but
that
this
one
goes
called?
back to another benefit of video games. Video games teach collaboration and communication. There is the stereotype of
Mm,
the loner gamer, but my kid plays with his friends on video games, and I
mm.
have heard them argue. I have heard them solve problems. I have heard them have so much fun, but it's through the medium of video games. So video games do build social skills. So I just want to put that in there as one of the benefits.
Yeah,
Um,
that's definitely true. It reminds me, I saw one the other day where like the husband can't find anything, but then he's on Call of Duty and he's like, over there, 2 miles to the left, there he is, and like calling out where all the things are. Like, you can't find anything, but you can find the guy up on the hill in the sniper post. Like, so, but that was kind of my next question. I was curious, is there a specific story that brought out a skill, or video games brought out a skill, unexpected skill or quality in your child that you weren't thinking of?
um, let me think about my child. Let's see. So one of the so my kid, through video games, through Minecraft, through mods, like he's becoming a programmer.
Mm.
Like he is learning computer languages. He's currently working on Lulu or something like that.
Wow.
Um, so
Thought that was a fitness brand.
I'm not entirely. I don't know all the things. I try. I try, but I still don't know all the things. Um, um, I was really surprised by like how his interest in Minecraft has taken him down this like computer engineering programming track. And it took him to this place where like it started with just playing a game, but now he's like configuring operating systems and setting up servers and like making mod packs and developing his own mods for the game. And I'm like, it's actually really cool. That's like tangible skills. Like,
That's awesome. Yeah, that's
yeah.
good stuff. The next question I had, it's sort of similar, but what's one game or gaming experience that surprised you by creating a positive family environment?
Smash Bros.
Oh, that brings you together.
Yes, I love Smash Bros.
Who's your character?
I recently unlocked Bayonetta, and she is really cool. But before that, my primary is the yoga trainer.
Oh, I like Dark Samus.
You know, um, my kid loves Samus, any of the Samus. He's like really terrifying with that.
That charge up is just unfair.
It
Samus, Donkey
is.
Kong,
My partner's
King
primary
Dedede.
is Donkey Kong.
That wind up is great too. I love how you can knock him into the ground and then punch him in the face. Something so
So
satisfying about that.
yeah, so it like it's a quick game that like it's fun, it's chaotic, it's
Mm.
there's a lot of laughter, and it's one that I'm decent at.
Mm.
So it's more fun for us to play together.
That makes
So when we
sense.
need
A little bit of
a
button
quick,
mashing.
yeah, no, I'm really good at button mashing.
That's back to the 3 minutes. You got 3 minutes. Set the clock. Okay, well, that concludes that section. The next section we got is how video games can deepen the connection. So we've been kind of going over that throughout the whole thing. The next question is, what's an example of a game that helped you and your child relate to each other in new ways?
Well, it's always going to be Minecraft for me. Like that's the primary game that my kid and I play. And one a really cool way that we relate in Minecraft is that he gets to be the teacher. He gets to be the expert. And he gets to be the person who knows all the things and gets to coach me.
Which is wild because that's not part of the game, right? It's a thing that's a second and third order effect. And I know we talk a lot about, like, if you are really good at something, you can teach it. I mean, if you can relay and teach and you are really squared away and know all that stuff, that's like the highest level, right? Like application and then teaching.
Yeah, so it's been really awesome over the last probably 4 years to see his patience and enthusiasm and just general positivity grow in being able to teach me. And then I see it with his friends. I see it in other areas in his life. Like, he's actually really good at that now. So I guess I must have been a really challenging student because he has a lot of patience.
It taught him some other skills.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting because we talked about the computer programming, super tangible skill, but patience, you're moving into soft skills, being able to handle things. And when we do get into work and coworkers and teams and things like that, or we talked about earlier, kids, I mean, that's pretty far off, but patience for the kids will be good too. So some really good things. It's just kind of sad to me that the people hone in on all the negative aspects of it. It's like, in almost everything in the world, there's good and bad. It's like, why is this one thing we kind of highlight all the negative? It's like, there's a lot of good things. Can we look at those too?
There are. And that's what I'm about. That's why I have the material that I do and have the conversations that I have.
Yeah, highlight the good stuff. Can you describe a moment where gaming gave you insight into your child's struggles?
Oh, yes. So I remember this so clearly. Like, this was one of my most painful moments in gaming. So a little over a year ago, I started playing by myself and I started streaming myself playing because I wanted to show that, like, moms, even if they suck at video games, can have a good time. And I was in this Minecraft world and I was off exploring and I had all the gear, and nighttime snuck up on me and I had full inventory and I had diamonds, and I got clobbered that nighttime, and I was a long ways from my bed, and I lost all my stuff. And I had worked so hard for all of that, and I was just devastated. Utterly, I cried because I was so sad about having worked hard and lost all my stuff. And that's happened with my kid. Where I'm like, oh, that's what he was feeling. Oh, God. Gave
Uh,
me so much empathy for my kid's experience.
that connection. I used to play a game called Eve online. It's like WoW in space, so massive multi MMORPG where you fly around in spaceships. And in certain areas, there's like no rules, and so you can get blown up. And when you get blown up, your ship is completely gone. So you got to jump
Oh,
around all these different areas and build it back up. And so it
oh,
takes, a portion of a day to get back to where you were. And so I remember the guy I used to play with, he was in the house and he like threw his keyboard down the hall. And it's that kind of same thing. It was before I started playing. I was like, why is he so mad? It's just a game. And then you start playing and you're like, oh, yeah, that's
yeah,
a terrible
yeah,
day. He lost a
yeah,
huge ship that
yeah,
cost all this money. And it's like,
yeah.
oh, yeah, that would be pretty bad. Because in that game, you can actually translate in-game money to real money. So I think at that given time, he lost like maybe 200 real dollars. It's like, oh, yeah, you could definitely be pretty mad. But that's interesting. Yeah, that connection and empathy, being able to, because one thing, sympathy versus empathy, like, oh yeah, that kind of sucks, but actually know and feel it because you've been there is completely different. So you said you play a little bit of Super Smash Brothers, you play some Minecraft. So I'm curious, what's your favorite gaming tradition or routine that you continue to do today? Is it Minecraft still?
Yeah, like it's really fun to play Minecraft with my kid. He has a server with his friends, and I get on with him and sometimes his friends every week or so and check out what they're doing and make sure they have stuff to eat. And like that's like I'm still the mom in Minecraft. So
Even in the digital world, still
I
feeding them Hot
know
Pockets.
it's
Oh,
it's
that's
like it's
awesome.
really funny, but like yeah, it's like we do that. And like there was a my kid goes to his dad's every other weekend. And um I was having a hard day and I was really like feeling isolated and lonely, and my kid got home that night and he's like, "Well, Mom, why didn't you ask me to play?"
Oh,
I'm like, "Oh,
that would have
I
made
was
everything better.
that would have made everything better."
Oh, yeah, it makes everything better. So I want to try to wrap everything up together. We went through a lot of goodness today. So how have your experiences from early parenting challenges, we talked about the NICU, to using gaming as a tool shaped your overall philosophy on raising connected kids?
Um Raising connected kids works. If
Mm.
I can become a gamer, and if like my kid can like if we can be like peaceful around gaming, it works. Like he's 14. I say, "Hey dude, it's time for dinner." He's like, "Oh, okay." And he shuts everything down and he comes up for dinner. Like we don't have the
Mm.
conflicts, we don't have the arguments that are really common stereotypes around this. Like this works. And we have fun. So it's worth it. It's worth the
Yeah,
work
that
to put
makes
into it.
sense. So I'm curious on that now. Did you initially have limits on screen time or things like that as you were building up the connectedness? I mean, it works now as you guys have kind of done that, but did you have rules and things like that? Because it feels like dragging them from the tablets and things like that is kind of difficult sometimes. Mine are younger, maybe that's part of it, but how did you work that transition?
That is the other question that all the parents ask. So, um, we, the first thing is that the amount of time a kid spends on a screen is individual to that kid and that family. And it changes for different ages and different scenarios. So, yes, there were limits on his screen time when he was younger. And I would experiment with that based on what he was like when he came off the screens. It's like, oh, okay, that was probably too long. Let's shorten the time.
Mm,
So that's something that you get to play with your family. And
okay.
for one kid, 30 minutes may be too much. For another kid, 2 hours is easy. So again, it just depends. And
Yeah, that's
the other thing is that ending a game time, ending screen time, that's a muscle. That's a skill. It takes practice. It takes reps. And my job is to be his coach in ending that screen time. So I have a whole like little mini course or thing that's about that. That is just about
okay.
the endings. And again, it starts with connection. You have that foundation of connection. You understand the game. You help, like the shorthand is like you help them figure out like what is a good amount of thing to try and do. It's like set up good expectations, set up a good plan. And then when it's time for the ending to happen, you come in before the end and you stay with them through the end and after. So that
Okay.
they're transitioning their connection to the screen and the game back to you, back to the in real life people. Because
Okay.
it can be a jarring experience to go from being really in a gaming experience or a screen experience to like nothing and nowhere. You can just be kind of flailing and lost. So
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess you got to
helping,
have a good transition.
yeah, it's all about helping them transition. So that's the Cliff Notes version of that one.
Huh. Yeah, that's interesting because we were doing an hour every night and then we transitioned to no screens throughout the week, but then on the weekends, but then that's kind of weird because then he just wants to live on it for the whole Saturday and Sunday, and that's not good either. So I think the
Yeah.
core of, what you said is just trying to adjust and try to figure out what that looks like. Maybe it is the hour through the weekdays and then, 4 hour or whatever the time frame is during the weekend. I don't think the all or none, at least for him, didn't really seem to work because then he's just all in. But I
Yeah.
like the transition back to the other because you're using your creative skills and you're fantasizing and you're, working on your plans and all that. That is a pretty tough thing. We're just stopping everything after you put all that mental effort and everything in there. So that's a good one.
Yeah.
Transition back to the people that are there.
Yeah. And one other note
So
about the all or nothing is that, and I know we need to wrap up, but like this is a good one, is that
I think you're good.
when a kid knows that they can come back to it, and when a kid knows that you support their gaming experience and know that it's important to them, it's easier for them to let it go.
They're not losing it. They're just going to go back. It's not goodbye, but, see you in a little bit. That's a
Exactly.
good one.
That's exactly it.
So, in conclusion, I wanted you to, what's one takeaway you hope parents gain from your story about connecting with their children in today's world?
Oh,
Do it.
yeah. Well, have fun, play. It's worth it. Don't be afraid
Mm,
to mess it up. Don't be afraid to be bad at it.
you
Don't
got to be
let,
bad at everything for a little while.
yeah. But if you're afraid of playing games with your kid because you're bad at it, like that's, it's worth it to get to work through that.
Absolutely. Well, Velma, thank you for coming out. I encourage listeners to share their thoughts and questions on social media or email. We got Facebook, Buzzsprout, TikTok, YouTube, all over the place trying to figure it out. I'm old, so TikTok's a little weird for me, but I'm trying to figure it out. I love you all. See ya.